Shalom, family. As usual, there's always some type of disappointing news to report as it relates to our people and how they are treated here in this country. There was a story that someone sent to me where a woman down in Louisiana was chastising her children. She chastised them because they had broken into someone's house and they brought the stolen property to her house. And so she did what a lot of parents have done for centuries. This is nothing new. She did what a lot of parents have done for centuries, which is spank her children for what they had done. But see, now here in America, they're calling that abuse, that you're abusing your children if you spank them, even if they were committing a crime and you as a parent were saying, well, look, I'm going to take control of the situation. I'm going to instill in them something good to let them know that, no, you don't steal. You don't break into someone's house. You don't do that. And so what they did was arrested her and they took her children away because she spanked them. Now, how many parents around the world spank their children for doing something wrong? How many parents have spanked their children for playing with fire or playing in the middle of the street and almost getting hit by a car? You see, I remember coming up in public school, the teachers used to spank us. The teachers had permission to spank. And even in some of the southern states, apparently not in Louisiana though, but I know of, in Tennessee, for instance, parents have to sign a waiver at some schools that the administration or the teachers or the staff have permission to spank the children if they misbehave at school. And so now the message that this is sending is that if your child does something, regardless to how bad it is, you don't have a right to do what it is that parents should be doing, which is making sure that their children understand that they shouldn't be doing this, okay? Or spanking them or reprimanding them for a bad deed, even though the public school was able to do it. And even now, what's worse is this. If your child steps out of line, even if they're only 12 years old, and the cops feel that they need to subdue your child or get them under control, they can tase them, they can hit them, they could shoot them, they could elbow them, slap them, punch them, kick them, whatever. Toss them across the room. They can do it, and it's not considered abuse. It's considered an officer doing his duty. He's just doing his job. So what's the job description? That you can beat up, kill, abuse, shoot, tase people? Because when I hear people saying that they're just doing their job, you're basically saying that their job description is to abuse people. Now, I want you all to remember this quote from Dr. Martin Luther King. Those of you who justify this type of behavior: injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Okay? Many times, I talked about double standards before. Many times you'll see people who will say, if it's a child that is African American or so-called black, colored, whatever you want to call us, you'll say that the actions against that child are justified, right? But if the same thing happens to someone who isn't black, then all of a sudden everyone wants the law to kick in and say, oh, deal with the police officer this way, or deal with the school administration that way, or deal with everything according to the law then. Because I have a news flash for you. We're starting to see more and more incidents of police violence even against white children. There was an incident not too long ago in which many of you kind of ignore these things. You only want to focus on what happens to so-called black people. But there was an incident not long ago to where a white teenager was tased so badly that I believe he was put unconscious as a result of it, and I believe it was even worse than that. But the tasing him caused him to be unconscious or something of that effect. And so when you sit back and you just close your ears and you hide your eyes and you say nothing about the injustice against one person, you're basically saying that you're complicit with this whole system. And so when the system comes to turn against you, then you're sitting confused. I think people need to understand that when the collective comes together to speak out against these things, we'll see less and less of this happening. But when you have the collective saying it's okay in this instant, but not in this instant, there's no progress going to be made. Other countries are looking at America like, how dare you try to police us and tell us what we're doing wrong when you have a whole bunch of skeletons in your own closet. That's why a lot of people around the world are starting to call American people hypocrites. You see, because there is no justice in the land. Anytime a parent spanks a child for doing something as bad as breaking into someone else's house where that child could have been killed by the homeowner, or that child, what if the child, Yah forbid, what if that child decided they wanted to hurt the homeowner in order to get away if the homeowner was actually there and caught them? Anything could have happened. Or what if the police arrived just as they were trying to enter or exit the house, and the police decided that they were going to shoot and kill them? So you see what happens when control is taken from parents. Now, there are real cases of abuse out here. There are real cases where children are being abused, not only by parents, but school administrators, bullied by other kids, law enforcement. There's all kinds of cases of real, true abuse. But when you go around telling parents that they can't spank their child, or they can't even raise their voice above a whisper at a child, that's when things are getting ridiculous. We know of someone who was trying to adopt a child, and when they were going through the question and answer segment, they were told that they can't even raise their voice at the child. And they asked the question, they said, well, what if the child is trying to reach on a hot stove and pull a pot down on themselves? They says, nope, even then you can't raise your voice at them, and you can't touch them. You can't even touch their arm to pull it away. Now, what kind of sense does that make? Does that make any sense at all? So you all should understand that something else is at play here. Something else is working behind the scenes here. There is something else going on. But we're so busy worried about all of this other foolishness and all of this other nonsense. We're so busy worried about what's going on in Hollywood, and with so-called black people worried about how to take one another down, or who got the biggest and baddest house, who's making the most money, who's doing this, who's doing that. While we so focused on this stupid, silly, ignorant nonsense, there is a system revving up against the people, period. When I say the people, I'm talking about all people. Nobody is exempt. But you see, again, when a society has been dumbed down so bad, there is almost no hope. There's almost no hope for that group of people, because they are complicit with their own destruction. Completely complicit with their own destruction. I mean, we are seeing time and time again many injustices around the world being played out and silenced from the people. Well, you know what? I take that back. I'm going to say here in America, you get silence from the people. But in other nations, the people are saying no more. You're not going to do this to us anymore. You're not going to ruin our lives. You're not going to take our food away and take our rights away and force us to eat what you want us to eat and do the things that you want us to do. Other countries are saying no. But here in America, they got people just where they want them. So dumbed down and so ignorant, to where the people are just going a straight way like sheep to a slaughter, like an ox to the slaughter, completely in agreement with their own destruction. When you got a people in that frame of mind, there's really no hope for that group of people. Really no hope, because as sure as we see the system crumbling right before our eyes, the people are right behind the system helping to prop it up and support it. And that's a bad place to be. This is why we pray, Abba Yah, that you would bring down your judgment, that you would bring down your righteousness, because the righteousness of this world is as filthy rags. And as long as you have people calling good evil and evil good, things will only get worse. And with that, I will say shalom to my people.